Hello, and welcome to Cleveland Classic Cinema. Our movie today is 1942's The Corpse Vanishes with Bela Lugosi and a bunch of other people you've never heard of. The movie is about a mad scientist who murders and kidnaps, in that order, virgin brides in order to extract something from their bodies to keep his wife young. They never come out and say what it is he's extracting from these women, but since he gets it from the backs of their necks, let's assume it's some sort of spinal fluid. Another thing that's never explained is why he only uses brides as his source. I imagine it's just to make him appear more evil or something. Bela Lugosi was born Bela Blasko on October 20th, 1882 in Lugos, Hungary. In the early 1900s, he joined a theatrical company and eventually became their top-billed star. After a while, he moved on to film acting. After World War I, he immigrated to the United States and appeared in his first American film, The Silent Command. In 1929, he took on the role of Dracula in the stage play of the same name. It ran on Broadway for 33 weeks and then toured the West Coast. When Universal first bought the rights, they intended the role for Lon Chaney Sr., but when he died of throat cancer, the part was eventually offered to Lugosi. As the 30s moved into the 40s, Lugosi had trouble finding steady work in films and found work in the Poverty Row studios, which we'll talk about in a minute. In the 50s, he met the infamous writer, producer, director, actor Edward D. Wood Jr., and they began a relationship that lasted until his death in the mid-50s. His first film with Wood was also Wood's first film, the semi-autobiographical Glenn or Glenda. He then took a starring role in Wood's next movie, Bride of the Monster, and was going to star in a movie Wood was tailor-making for him, The Ghoul Goes West. They had only shot a few scenes of Bela standing at a graveside and walking around outside his house when Lugosi died at the age of 73 on August 16, 1956. Wood ended up taking the footage he shot with Bela and fashioned a movie around it, calling it Plan 9 from Outer Space. If you've seen Tim Burton's 1994 film Ed Wood, while Martin Landau's performance was worth the Oscar he won, it's inaccurate. Lugosi was a true gentleman and would never have used profanity in public, much less on a movie set. The decades of the 30s and 40s are called the golden age of Hollywood by a lot of people. While there were a large number of great pictures made during that time, you have to remember that Hollywood lived up to its second name, the Dream Factory, by acting like a factory. They would crank out hundreds of movies a year, and a great number of those were direct. Just by the law of averages, they were bound to make a good number of classic movies, so the golden age of Hollywood was actually more like plated brass. There were several major studios, and a lot of them are still around today, but operating around the fringe, so to speak, there were a lot of much smaller studios. They were known as Poverty Row studios because, while they cranked out movies as fast as the other studios, they were made on minuscule budgets and featured either second-rate or former stars. Monogram Pictures, the studio that made the picture you're about to see, made literally hundreds of films, mostly westerns, serials, and series like the Charlie Chan and the Bowery Boy movies. In 1953, wanting to project a classier image along with producing slightly higher budget movies, Monogram changed its name to Allied Artists. Right now, sit back, relax, and enjoy The Corpse Vanishes, right here on Cleveland Classic Cinema.